January 1941. The world is at war. Japan started expanding a decade ago and has been utterly devastating Eastern and Southeast Asia. Hitler has taken over continental Europe, tried to bomb Britain into oblivion, ramped up the Holocaust, and is generally doing Hitlery things. Mussolini has yet to prove his ineptitude. And the United States? Well, it's not doing much of anything. And polls show 2/3 of Americans want it that way. What America needs is a beacon, someone to give them the courage to take on the tyrants and call out the cowards. Enter Theodore Geisel.
Who?
You don't recognize him? Well, try this name, Dr. Seuss. Yeah, that's who. Oh, concerning his name, Teddy always liked to doodle. At Dartmouth, he became editor and illustrator of the campus's Jacko magazine. But when Teddy and the boys were caught drinking bootleg bathtub gin, he was forced to resign. This was during Prohibition, mind you. Oh, about that punishment? Teddy said sure, and then continued to publish under his obscure middle name, Seuss. Seuss next attended Oxford, leaving after only a year but promoting his pen name to Doctor. He illustrated for magazines here and there like Judge and the Saturday Evening Post. Then he landed the gig designing advertising cartoons for the bug spray Flit, which is basically DDT.
Be careful, you're spilling.
Quick, Henry, the Flit became a meme before memes were memes, plastered on billboards and subway cards. Whoa, these ones have not aged well. 1931 saw Seuss published in a book for the first time, illustrating a collection of children's sayings in a book called Boners. Stop it. The book was a smashing success, and he illustrated the sequel, More Boners. I see you back there. 1937's And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street was the first of what we would think of as a Dr. Seuss book. And he followed it up with The Seven Lady Godivas, an adult-aimed retelling of the tale with plenty of Dr. Seuss-styled nudity. The 30s were a weird time. Next was Horton Hatches the Egg, and we're back on track. Dr. Seuss was now king of a children's book empire. But this ruler couldn't ignore the tyrants just over the ocean, and he was gonna fight them the best way that he knew how, by trolling the hell out of them. In January of 1941, Seuss started obliterating the dictators, their cronies, cowards, and sympathizers in the New York magazine PM. Hitler was usually seen as conniving, pulling the strings but in over his head and desperate to see the US stay out. Mussolini was an idiot. Japan was portrayed as the real partner in crime, yet still a stooge of the Fuhrer. The depiction of the Japanese was, typical of that time? Seuss was relentless. In fact, more impressive when you remember that America wasn't even at war at that time and frankly didn't want to be. But Pearl Harbor would soon change that. And the big three weren't his only targets. Collaborators were called out. Windbags, isolationists, and the America First Committee found themselves in Seuss's sight. Charles Lindbergh, once the hero of the nation, was the spokesperson for America First, and dang, did Seuss let him have it.
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
Uncle Joe, he could be seen shouldering the load while America sat pretty. As many wartime production facilities continued to discriminate even while scrambling to make weapons and equipment, Seuss showed that he had no time for racism. Well, almost no time. This was his cartoon literally a week before FDR's Executive Order 9066 started interning over 100,000 Japanese Americans, so, For 2 years, stretching both before and during American involvement in the war, Seuss savaged targets with over 400 cartoons, but doodles can only do so much. It was time to put your money where your mouth is, Teddy boy. So, he did. He accepted an army commission which sent him on suicide missions deep behind enemy lines with just a knife, his wits, and a thirst for vengeance. No, he didn't. Actually, he was part of the first motion picture unit of the Signal Corps, where he was surrounded by a dirty dozen of film, cartoon, and children book legends like P.D. Eastman, Chuck Jones, Friz Freeland, Bob Clampett, And the leader of these inglorious bastards, Frank Capra.
Sound good? Yes, sir!
Seuss, with his ragtag outfit, would crank out propaganda for the folks at home and training videos for the boys overseas. The most notable being the cartoon series Private Snafu, who was basically what would happen if Bugs Bunny had dressed up like Girl Bunny, but instead of tricking Elmer Fudd, they just saw where it went.
I hope I leave some things in Africa, kitty you are.
In one episode entitled Gripes, Snafu learned to stop complaining about military life.
The moral, Snafu, is the harder you work, the sooner we're gonna beat Hitler, that joke.
Private Snafu versus Malaria Mike pitted the putts against a relentless mosquito.
Why, it's Snafu. I never forget a face.
And in Spies, Snafu can't help getting drunk and spilling the beans.
But I gotta get a move on now. I sail at 4:30.
As a part of this Hollywood unit, Seuss never saw any real action, though he did get stuck behind enemy lines at the Battle of the Bulge and needed to be rescued by the Brits.
Get in, loser, we're going shopping.
When the war was ending and Allied victory was all but assured, Seuss started working on training films for the troops that would occupy Japan and Germany. As the writer of Our Job in Japan, Seuss put it plainly.
The end of the war. The beginning of another peace. Peace, if we can solve the problem of 70 million Japanese people.
Okay, maybe not phrased the best, but the idea of the film was that the Japanese people were actually misled by their leaders. They had the power to be good, just like anybody else.
No child ever said as his very first words, "Me, I can lick the whole cockeyed world."
Those were actually my first words. You know what? It's not important. Our Job in Japan claimed that the Japanese people were tricked by warlords under the guise of Shintoism, of which Seuss was not a fan.
Up from Japan's murky past, bring back the mumbo jumbo.
In its own 1940s complimentary racist way, it very much approached occupation as an opportunity for the Japanese people to thrive in a free democratic system. That the Japanese were inherently good people. I wonder if his film about Germany echoed this.
Every German is a potential source of trouble.
Yeah, that's not happening. 1945's Your Job in Germany was decidedly less forgiving.
We are determined that the vicious German cycle of war, phony peace, war, phony peace, war, phony peace, shall once and for all time come to an end.
Seuss did not cut the German people any slack, didn't excuse them and say they were misled, none of that.
But there are millions of Germans. Some of those guys must be okay.
Perhaps. But which ones?
Okay, that's the general population, but what about the future generations of Germany? What about the children?
Guard particularly against this group. These are the most dangerous. German youth. Children, when the Nazi Party came into power, they know no other system than the one that poisoned their minds.
Yeah, Seuss, grandson to German immigrants, definitely compensated hard with Americana, and Your Job in Germany pulled no punches with the "they've done it thrice, they'll do it again" message.
However friendly, however sorry, however sick of the Nazi Party they may seem, they cannot come back into the civilized fold just by sticking out their hand and saying, "I'm sorry." Sorry. Not sorry they caused the war. They're only sorry they lost it.
And that was the end of Seuss's overtly political career. He would transition completely to books and films. Themes would bleed into his future works, like in Horton Hears a Who with its "A person's a person no matter how small" message, something being taught in post-war Japan for the first time. And then there's the tyrannical Yertle the Turtle, who in early drafts literally had a Hitler mustache. Oh, and the Butter Battle book was a delightful bedtime story that addressed the Cold War arms race and mutually assured destruction, so Seuss wasn't completely apolitical. But as for Super Soldier Seuss, he put away his shield. He hung up his guns, traded in Hitler for ham and kamikaze zeros for "Oh, the places you'll go." So hey, I'm Mr. Betts, and if you enjoyed this, great, because there's a 90% chance that YouTube didn't and has demonetized it. So if you really want to help out the channel and show your support for sustainable educational videos, you can pick up my new Support Demonetized History t-shirts. Proceeds go to me because, well, proceeds from this video probably aren't happening. The design is also available on stickers and mugs and other items, so get it however you'd like. Now, I was thinking of doing some live stream viewings of different propaganda videos from different eras and countries, so let me know in the comments if that's something you'd want to see. Be sure to like and subscribe, be safe, and I'll see you next time.